A satellite scan over the Arctic revealed something impossible: a metallic shape buried deep within the ancient ice. Dr. James Landon's team braved temperatures of -42°C to reach it. As they melted the final layer of ice, a perfectly preserved passenger plane emerged. In seat 14A, they found a diary containing entries spanning 19 days after the crash. What they discovered within the pages of that diary will haunt you forever. The Arctic has kept countless secrets buried beneath its icy surface for centuries. Some say it's a graveyard of lost expeditions, while others believe it holds evidence of ancient civilizations. But in January 2024, modern technology was finally going to uncover one of its most chilling mysteries. Dr. James Landon was reviewing research papers in his office when he received the call. The discovery sent shockwaves through the scientific community. The extreme location made the find even more puzzling. Speculation was rampant. It all started with a routine satellite scan. Military analysts were examining thermal imaging data when they noticed something unusual: a large metallic signature deep within the ancient ice. The shape was too regular, too geometric to be natural. Initial analysis suggested it was man-made and massive, roughly the size of a commercial airliner. Whatever it was, it didn't belong there. Some suggested it might be a Cold War relic, while others theorized it could be an experimental aircraft. But the depth of the ice encasing the object suggested it had been there for years, silently waiting to tell its story. This wasn't just any crash site. It was in one of the most remote and hostile environments on Earth. The surrounding ice field was notorious for its harsh conditions, with temperatures that could plummet to -60°C in minutes. Even reaching the site would be a monumental challenge. As one of the world's leading experts in Arctic exploration, he had witnessed many unusual discoveries. But this one was different. The satellite data showed something huge, and it was buried at a depth that suggested it had been there for years. These weren't just scientists, they were survivors, experts who knew how to endure the planet's most extreme conditions. They would need all that experience for what lay ahead. The journey to the site was brutal. Temperatures plummeted to -42°C, turning every breath into a painful reminder of nature's hostility. Equipment froze. Communication became impossible. Even their specially designed vehicles struggled against these unforgiving conditions. On the third day, as storm clouds gathered on the horizon, their drones spotted something extraordinary. Emerging from the ice at a 40-degree angle, what appeared to be the tail of an airplane could be seen. The team could hardly believe their eyes. How could a plane have ended up here, in one of the most remote places on the planet? Using specialized thermal equipment, they began the laborious process of melting the ice. Every meter revealed a little more of the plane's fuselage, perfectly preserved by the extreme cold. 27 meters down, they finally reached the emergency exit. What they found inside would change them forever. The cabin was a perfectly preserved time capsule. The scene before them was both fascinating and deeply unsettling. Life had simply stopped, frozen in place. Magazines were open on tray tables, their pages caught between turns. Coffee cups still held their contents, now solid as stone. Some even bore traces of lipstick on their rims, silent testimonies to their last users. In the aisle, a child's toy lay abandoned, its plastic eyes staring at the ceiling as if still waiting for its owner's return. Nearby, a coloring book revealed unfinished drawings, simple sketches of suns and houses that would never be completed. The business class section told a different story, one of desperate survival. The passengers had clearly lived for some time after the crash. They had created makeshift shelters using whatever they could find. Life jackets and suitcases had been transformed into walls. Seat cushions had been arranged into sleeping areas. In one corner they found carefully preserved food wrappers, evidence of strict rationing. But nothing could prepare them for what they found at seat 14A. It was a diary belonging to flight attendant Mary Parker. Its pages held the answers to questions that had remained unanswered for years. The writing was neat at first, then grew increasingly unsteady as the entries progressed. The first entry was dated just hours after the crash. Mary's writing was steady, professional, the writing of someone trained to stay calm in emergencies. 62 survivors. Captain Miller has taken charge. We've gathered all the emergency supplies and established rationing. 100 grams of food, 200 milliliters of water per person, per day. The passengers are scared but cooperative. Dr. Thompson is treating the injured with our limited medical supplies. The cold is our biggest enemy now. We can see our breath even inside the cabin. The following entries detailed their organization for survival. They had divided themselves into teams, some in charge of maintaining their shelter, others managing provisions, and a group tasked with watching for rescue planes. Mary noted how the business class passengers worked alongside everyone else, social status forgotten in the face of survival. By day 5, the tone of the entries began to change. The cold is intensifying. Dr. Thompson is worried about infections. Even small cuts aren't healing properly in these conditions. We lost Mrs. Chen today. Her injuries from the crash were too severe. The captain led a small ceremony, but we couldn't bury her. The ground is solid ice. We've had to move to the rear of the plane. Some passengers are showing signs of frostbite despite our best efforts. Day 7 brought new challenges. It's the children who are suffering the most. We try to keep their spirits up with games and stories, but they're hungry and scared. Little Amy asked me today when her mommy could make her pancakes again. What do you say to that? Sarah, one of our school teachers, has set up a makeshift school to keep them occupied. They're learning about Arctic survival. Ironic, isn't it? Day 10's entry was shorter, the writing more hurried. Food supplies are holding out, but barely. We heard strange noises outside today. Polar bears maybe. Everyone is getting weaker. The cold never leaves your bones. Dr. Thompson says we're all in the early stages of hypothermia despite our best efforts. The batteries in our emergency beacon are dying. By day 13, desperation had begun to set in. 3 more passengers are showing severe signs of frostbite. Dr. Thompson had to amputate Mr. Wilson's toes today. No more anesthesia. The screams will haunt me forever. The children don't cry anymore. They're too weak. We've started sharing stories of home to keep our spirits up. John, the businessman from seat 3A, talked about his daughter's wedding next month. He promised to double the caterer's order when he gets back. If he gets back. Day 15 revealed their dwindling hopes. We're running low on water. We've been melting ice, but it takes precious energy we can't afford to waste. Some passengers have started hallucinating, seeing rescue planes that aren't there. Captain Miller is still trying to maintain order, but I can see the fear in his eyes too. The cold is inside us now. It's like being burned from the inside out. Day 17 brought a moment of beauty amidst the horror. We saw the northern lights tonight through the airplane window. For a few minutes everyone forgot about the cold and the hunger. Even the children smiled. Mrs. Rodriguez, the physics teacher, explained to us how they work. It was almost normal, like a science class field trip gone wrong. Later I heard her crying in the restroom. It was her son's birthday. The penultimate entry was barely legible. Day 18, out of medical supplies. The battery in our emergency light is almost dead. The temperature is dropping again. We can hear the ice shifting around us. It sounds like the whole world is breaking apart. I started a letter to my sister, but my fingers are too numb to hold the pen. The captain says we have to conserve our energy. No more moving around except when absolutely necessary. The final entry, dated day 19, ended mid-sentence. The writing was shaky, almost childlike. Something outside. Bears, maybe. They're getting closer. The cold doesn't hurt anymore, which is a bad sign according to Dr. Thompson. I thought I saw a light in the distance, but what happened in those final moments? What did Mary see or experience that made her stop writing? In the cockpit, the black box finally revealed the terrifying sequence of events that caused the plane to crash. The plane encountered severe turbulence at temperatures approaching minus 60 degrees Celsius. The conditions proved too much for the engines, leading to a catastrophic failure. Despite the pilot's desperate attempts to save the plane, the combination of bad weather and mechanical failure proved insurmountable. As the research team worked to document everything, they noticed they weren't alone. A mother polar bear and her cubs had positioned themselves on a nearby ridge, observing their activities with what seemed like solemn interest. These ancient guardians of the Arctic likely knew this site long before any satellite detected it. On the expedition's last day, as the team packed their equipment in minus 58 degrees Celsius weather, the bears stood silently on their ice ridge. It was as if they were saying goodbye to those whose story had finally been told. Every object discovered in the plane told its own story of human courage and desperate survival. A watch, frozen but still ticking, marked a time long past. A half-written letter spoke of love and missing distant family. A collection of family photos, carefully wrapped in a scarf, held memories of better days. The mystery of the frozen plane had been solved, but its discovery raised as many questions as it answered. What thoughts did the survivors surrender to during those 19 days? What hopes and fears filled their final moments? The research team spent weeks cataloging every object, every detail. Each artifact told its own story of courage and despair. A businessman's laptop, still in its bag, contained a presentation he would never give. A grandmother's knitting needles were found with an unfinished baby sweater, a gift that would never be completed. In the overhead compartments they found still-wrapped Christmas presents, their cheerful paper a stark contrast to the grim scene. The most haunting discoveries were the small things. A child's homework dated the day before the flight, a receipt for coffee purchased at the airport. These weren't just pieces of evidence, they were snapshots of lives suddenly interrupted, dreams and plans frozen in time. Dr. Landon's final report included a note about something unusual. During the days they worked at the site, they never saw any scavenging birds, no ravens, no Arctic foxes. It was as if the local wildlife had respected this place as a tomb, leaving it undisturbed except for the watchful polar bears. As the team packed their equipment for the last time, they held a small ceremony. They left a memorial plaque, its metal surface engraved with words that would withstand the Arctic cold. To those who rest here, your story has been told. May you find peace in this beautiful wilderness. The bears watched from their ridge as the team departed, their white forms almost invisible against the snow. Some team members later said they felt like the bears were standing guard, continuing their vigil over this sacred place. As Dr. Landon's team left, they left behind more than equipment and markers. They left with a deep appreciation for human resilience in the face of insurmountable odds. The frozen plain had become more than just a crash site. It was a testament to the strength of the human spirit, preserved in the ice for future generations to remember. The Arctic would keep its silent watch over the site, but now the world would know the story of those who had fought so bravely against impossible odds. The diary, now safely stored in a climate-controlled facility, reminds us that even in our darkest moments, human courage and dignity can shine through. Sometimes the greatest mysteries aren't about what we find, but the stories of human courage and determination they reveal. Deep within the Arctic ice, a plane and its passengers had waited patiently to tell their story. And now, finally, their voices could be heard, a testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit in the face of ultimate adversity.